Hi, my name is Tracy Martirana from Holistic Wellness with Tracy, and today I'm inviting you into my kitchen to make an herbal remedy called onion syrup. Onion syrup is easy to make and easy to use. To make it, you simply slice up a bunch of onion, either one onion or a couple, depending on how big of a batch you want to make. And then you cook that down a little bit, add in some honey and let it stay warm so that it's all kind of melds together. And then you end up with onion syrup, which can be used as a very potent cough syrup. It's great as a cough syrup when it's like a cough caused by cold, because onion is very antimicrobial, anti everything, really. Kills it all. You could make this even more potent by adding a little bit of garlic to it, but I like just the flavor of the onion and the honey together. Cooked onion is inherently sweet. Honey, also sweet. So when you put the two together, it's not as odd of a combination as you might originally think when you hear the term onion syrup. No, it's actually pretty tasty. And I've even used it as part of a salad dressing. So adding a little bit of the onion honey to my vinegar, mix that up. And then speaking of vinegar, if you're using this as an herbal remedy, like a cough medicine, because you are feeling ill, coming down with a cold, the best way to take it, in my mind, is combined with my fire cider. I made this in a previous video. I will put the link to that in the description box. But the combination of all of the herbal goodness in the fire cider, that horseradish and onion and garlic and ginger and cayenne, blended with the onion and the smoothness of the honey, you get that antimicrobial bang plus that soothing coat to the throat. So what I do when I have my finished syrup is I take a spoon, I get half a spoonful of the onion syrup, and then I take my fire cider and I just fill the rest of the spoon with it and then take it just like that. Easy peasy, no mess. So let's get making this. I'm starting by just chopping up my onion. So I'm cutting it into fairly thin slices and then cutting it again into smaller pieces and dropping it into my pan. I'm going to add just a little bit of water. This right here is, well, it's a quarter cup in here. I don't know if I'll even use it all. No. I have my onion in the pan with just a little bit of water. I used a scant quarter cup, just enough to add some moisture while it cooks, because there's no oil in the pan to prevent it from sticking, and I don't want to add oil to my syrup. That would be gross. So just a little water to add the moisture. So it's cooking down right now, and as soon as it gets a little soft, I'll add a little bit of honey just to sort of coat the onion and allow it to all meld together. And then once the onion is significantly soft, like really soft and mushy, I will add the rest of the honey. Now I am simply just going to add enough honey to make the amount of syrup that I'm looking to make. So I have this mason jar here that I want to fill with my onion syrup. So that holds a couple cups. I will probably add a good cup of honey. That, along with the onion, will still leave me some room in the jar, which is good. So I can stir it around and get all the oniony pieces out when I want to eat it. Now, I just wanted to mention, I tend to make this on a day when I know I'm going to be baking something else, because I start it here on the stovetop getting it soft. But then once I add the honey, I like to keep it warm, but not so hot that I'm cooking the honey. So raw honey is meant to not be cooked, right? It's not pasteurized, so that it still has all the enzymes that honey is known to have. And if you cook it, you kill the enzymes. So I just want it warm for a couple hours to give it time to meld together, for all of the onion goodness to soak into the honey. So what I do is I just start it here on the front burner of my stove. And once it's ready and warm, I just push it to the back burner without a flame just towards the back of my stove because I'm going to be running the oven today. So I know the heat from the oven will keep my honey warm, and I will just let it sit here all day with a little bit of heat on it from the oven, letting it meld and get delicious and yummy. Now, my herbal teacher, Rosemary Gladstar, she apparently used to keep a pot on the back of her stove pretty much all winter long. So she would just have a constant pan like this, or bigger, or it was probably a big cast iron pot actually. But she would keep that on the back of her stove with the onion and the honey. And then as the season progresses and it gets low, she would just add more onion, add more honey, and just allow it to always be there warming on the back of her stove. She used a lot of it. I think she was one of those people, sort of like I am with fire cider. When I feel a little sick, every time I come through the kitchen, I take a spoonful. I think that's how she was with her onion syrup. So she went through a lot of it. So for her, that makes sense. For most people, that would not make sense. So you'll want to make it and then transfer it to a dish or a jar that you can put in your refrigerator. Now, as you can hopefully see, it's white against white, I know, so it might not show up all that great, but the onions are starting to get soft. They're not really like cooked all the way through yet. They've just softened down a little bit. And you can see that, maybe you can see that water looks very oniony. It's like little onion water, which is fine. Like I said, there's not a lot. I used a scant quarter cup. So that amount of water is fine. It will blend in with the honey. All that onion goodness is in that water. So we don't want to lose it. We definitely want to keep it. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of honey to this. This is my raw honey from a local beekeeper. Just going to spoon that in. We'll stir it around. Let that begin to melt in there. And adding that honey, that smell, all of a sudden just got really yummy. The onions themselves smelled okay to begin with, but I don't know. I tell you, onions and honey, it sounds weird, but it's really actually quite tasty. So now you can see that honey is sort of blended in with the water. Hopefully you can see. And now I'm just going to leave this to cook on low heat for just a few more minutes. And I will stir it every once in a while. Again, I don't want anything to burn. I just want those onions to get nice and soft. So as you can see, the onions have really softened up. They're just coated in a little bit of honey that I added earlier. So now I want to add the bulk of my honey. I'm going to start with this partial jar that I have. Scooping that out. Of course, it's fairly thick, so it's not coming too fast, but the gentle heat in the pan will help dissolve it down. The syrup is complete. I let it sit on the back of my stove with just the heat from the oven, keeping it warm for a couple hours. And now I have this beautiful onion syrup. You can see the onions have kind of floated up to the top, and this is all just the syrup below. I had hoped and planned to leave just a little bit more space in the top of my jar, because once it's in the fridge, it's going to thicken up a little bit. Not a lot, but a little. And then when I go to use it the first couple times, I'm going to want to stir it around so that I don't get just onions, that I get a lot of the syrup as well. So I'll have to be careful not to make a big mess. But let's go ahead and taste it. I'm just going to dip down so I get a little bit of the honey without all of my onions, just a few. And I have to say, every time I make this, I am impressed with how good it tastes. The first time I ever heard of this recipe was from Rosemary Gladstar, and I questioned it. I was like, oh, I'm going to make it, but I was sort of afraid I was just going to waste a whole bunch of really good honey on something I was never going to want to eat. And I was pleasantly surprised then, and I'm pleasantly surprised every time I make it, how delicious it is. It's good just by the spoonful. It's good mixed with the fire cider. It's good in a salad dressing. It's good in a salad dressing made with the onion syrup and the fire cider together with a little bit of olive oil. Yummy. It's just delicious. Have I said that? So I hope you'll give it a try. It makes a great cough syrup. It is, again, just delicious as a food in general, and it will kill everything that ails you. So cold and flu season, definitely you want to have this on hand. Again, my name is Tracy Martirana, and I use my knowledge of nutrition, herbs, Ayurveda, yoga, and meditation to bring you information and inspiration so you can live a healthy, happy, and balanced life. If you haven't already, please click that subscribe button, watch some of my older videos, like them, share them with your friends. Doing so lets YouTube know that people are interested in content like mine. Thanks so much and have a great day.